regular meeting of the Winthrop Town Council. First, I'd like to most of you have already met Anthony, but I would like to introduce Anthony. This is his first official day at work as our new town manager. So. Now that we've sufficiently embarrassed.
You're gonna have to try much harder than that.
Oh, well, don't ask for it. Okay, Anthony and I had a discussion this afternoon, and I've had various discussions with council members about what it really should look like for public input into the meetings. And this is basically what we came up with. At the beginning of the meeting, not necessarily about the subjects on the agenda, we'll have a public comment session. All right, 3 minutes a person, one time. Okay, and in that period, we're hoping to gain perhaps what you want to see on the agenda next month or the month after, what things are important to you, information for us to work with. Okay, then next, during the meeting, as is appropriate, and this is completely at the subject of the chairperson, you get 3 minutes, one time, per subject, okay, on the subject under discussion. All right. And I need to remind you that that's at the discretion of the chair. The chair may decide that someone gets 5 minutes or 10 minutes because they have some kind of a disability, something like that. Or perhaps there's 20 people out there that don't like what's going on and one person to defend it. So I might decide, well, he gets 10 minutes. Okay. And then at the end of the meeting, on any subject at all, after the business of the council is conducted, people will get 3 minutes for any subject. Okay, and I'm gonna try to avoid having to call people from the audience. I'm gonna ask people to queue up behind the podium, so they're ready to step right up and speak. It will save a lot of time, and it will also help me to establish, if we get 10 hands go up, who goes first. Okay, and I put a couple chairs over there for people that have a hard time standing for a long time, something like that. Okay. So that's the new policy. We're gonna try to stick to it. See how it works. Now we discussed it.
It is.
Pretty much. Okay, yes. All right, so that means that we're gonna start the meeting with that first comment period. Does anyone at this point wish to stand up at the podium and make comments or? Well, that was easy.
Crickets.
Yeah, I wish I had one of those staple things. That was easy. All right. First thing on the agenda is roll call. All the members are here except for our absentee member. We're six members, we're one down, okay? Okay, appointment of treasurer and tax collector. We need a chair will entertain a motion.
That has the one at the bottom.
I did. Oh, reevaluation discussion with Rob Duplessis from RJD Appraisals. I'm sorry.
Item 88, you gotta say item, the number.
Okay, item 88. Real quick.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Rob Duplessis. We're assessing you're assessing here in town. Our company is RJD Appraisal. We've been your assessors for about 5 years. Started in 2018.
Is that mic working, Rob?
So never close.
All right.
It's working.
So as the real estate market has changed considerably in the last few years, one of my responsibilities is to notify the council of our assessing level, where it's at, and what the suggestions we have to correct these things. The town did their last revaluation back in 2007. Private appraisal company come out, did a full revaluation, put market values for every piece of property in town as of 2007. Since then, we have held those same charts and schedules for a property that existed and any new property that's built. When you keep that same valuation over and over again, as the market changes, we start to get a gap between most recent sale price and the historical assessed values that we have in these properties. The state will measure that gap, and we are obligated to us what's called a certified ratio to the state, the difference between the assessment that we have and the current market prices. So there's a set of parameters that the state sets that says, on average, your assessments are not to be lower than 70% of market value and not higher than 110% of market value. And that's based on an annual study that the state has us prepare for them. And it's one factor for all sales. It isn't just every sale that comes through our desk. We have to be within those parameters. It's just the average. With the way the real estate market's been lately, we are nowhere. We're now beginning to see slippage. In 2021, our assessments were at 100% of market value. 2022, they dropped to 85%. And now this year, we've dropped to 74%. And 70 is our minimum. When we hit that 70% level or lower, the state will speak. I can't say the word mandate, but they'll mandate a revaluation. And like I said, by the time that happens, it'll be almost 20 years. So when you do this work, you set a schedule, a chart that you apply to all properties. There's a fairness there at the time of the reval. Everybody's based on the market value. That snapshot in time is very close proximity to the current date. And now we're 15 years out, 12, 14 years out. We start to see disparity. And even though it's proper to continue to assess that way, we're starting to see different ratios between certain types of property. Waterfront, for example. If you look at what the 2007 assessment is compared to the most recent market indicators for waterfront, it's a larger gap than residential, off-water residential, it's a larger gap than commercial. So even though it's based in a system of fairness, as time goes on, you start to see some unfairness creep in. So we have an obligation to uphold to this statute that will be coming to us fast and furious. So I'm here tonight to recommend to the council we start thinking about having discussions.
Couple things. The Constitution, as I recall, does not mandate, they can't mandate that we have a reval. They can encourage, it's encouraged, but I don't think that they actually in statute, they have a mandate.
And I said, I don't want to use it, just.
Yeah, they encourage. Here's the problem that I have, and that I've been talking about for a while. You have a real estate market that is unprecedented. I mean, these people are coming in from out of state, they're buying waterfront properties, they're paying whatever they want. It doesn't matter whether it costs $100,000. How do you possibly value property on that scale? And are you gonna basically force everybody that's on waterfront to sell their properties? Because this fairness issue is, in my opinion, if a buyer wants to pay something for a piece of property and they have unlimited funds, they can pay whatever they want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that the property's worth that. So I guess the question I have is, we have a tremendous amount of waterfront property in this town. And are we going to assess these properties at $800, $900, $1 million because this whole unprecedented sale market is the way it is? I just don't see it. And I am very hesitant about doing that because the last reval was supposed to be a third, and it didn't work out that way. People were absolutely wild when they came back here. We did not decrease taxes, they increased in a lot of cases. And they didn't go down like they were supposed to. So in my opinion, this is, and I've said this to Maine Municipal Association, in my opinion, this is an unprecedented real estate market that is, there's no rhyme or reason to it. So I guess that's the question I have is, in all fairness to everybody, that's not fair to value somebody's property because somebody is willing to pay an unlimited amount of money for something. Is that really fair? I just have a problem with it. Big problem.
Well, can I come in? Irrespective. Irrespective of what the eval is, we can commit to not taxing more than 70%. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, so that's one thing we can do to try to mitigate what Linda's worried about. Okay, and the other thing I think falls upon the council not to get, money happy because we had a reeval and start spending more
That's a
money.
joke.
Okay, I know, Linda, but I'm just saying,
Come
some of
on.
the responsibility has to fall upon the council, just because we reevaluate for more and we have more tax money. Do we have to spend more money, or do we have to take that windfall and reduce the mill rate? So,
So I would go a little further. All of the responsibility would fall on the council. I mean, this is totally under your control as to how much you're gonna spend during any given. And so if your values go up, it does give you an opportunity to significantly decrease your mill rate, which I think is attractive to people who are considering moving into Winthrop or who are considering building a business here. They do look at the mill rate. And so, that helps you achieve a certain funding level year over year. And then it's a matter of, can you control the cost so that you don't see a big jump in expenditures, that the costs are appreciable year over year. And so,
I hear that, but what I'm saying, it didn't happen last time. It didn't happen.
but it's up to us to make
And
sure.
not only that, but again, I think you have to be very careful about, you're talking about community here. And you have to be very careful, you have an enormous amount of people that live on that waterfront. And if we reval and those values go up to 900, $1 million and over, I'm just saying it's going to potentially cause folks to not be able to afford to live there. And you have a whole community, we're the lakes region, we have 11 lakes around here.
and
I'm just saying is, we've got to be very careful about this.
And I just think the equity issue is the main reason to do a revow. One of my colleagues today mentioned that she pays $400 less than someone who lives in $1 million property on the lakes. And so in other words, she's being taxed at a higher level of her value than someone who obviously can afford to pay much more, who's being taxed at a much lower level. So what we've been told by the state is that next year we could anticipate that minimum assessment ratio dropping to somewhere in the neighborhood of 60%. And in that instance, what you're looking at is you probably have an equal number of people who are paying 80% of their value and those who are paying 40% of their value. And that's, at that point, the tax becomes regressive and it's fundamentally unfair at that point. So I think the equity issue is one of the reasons why you should be considering looking at a revaluation.
I'm just kind of in favor of reeval. I think that.
I'm in favor of revaluation only because the market is so volatile. And that we're better off doing it sooner rather than later, because at this point, all market indicators nationally, and it affects us, are that people are fleeing urban centers and they're moving to the countryside. And they're not finding a lot of housing, so they're building new properties. We've had 14 new permits this year, right? 14 new permits for new construction. The people who are benefiting from the value of the waterfront are the people who are selling their waterfront homes and cashing in on the prices that they're getting right now. And I can't say as I would blame them. I mean, if you bought a property for $80,000 back in the 70s, and you can get nearly $1 million for it right now, more power to you, But at the same time, we have to value things in an equitable manner so that someone who owns just a couple acres of land and a farmhouse that may be in disrepair, that hasn't been able to keep up on the maintenance, whatever, their house is going to be valued either at what it was before or maybe only slightly higher. Whereas someone who's on the waterfront will be higher, and someone who's bought more property and added to their property, has more acreage or whatever, is going to be valued higher. So I just think that if we wait, the values are going to go up. And so when we wait to the point where the state's gonna say it's time to do a revaluation, we're gonna wish we'd done it 3 years earlier.
So Rob, a question for you. So as that minimum assessment ratio goes down, then people realize a smaller portion of their homestead exemption. So if we're at 74%, does that mean that you only get 74% of your $25,000 homestead exemption?
Correct. I mean, the way the ratio is dropping this year, everybody's homestead relief is gonna be $90 less this year than it was last year. Just because of the low ratio, we are obligated by statute to equate our exemptions to the certified ratio that we're at. One thing I do really need to mention, when it comes to what the market is doing, it is unprecedented, no doubt. But we're 3 years running into this market, and it has affected all property. I've been doing this for 34 years, and I've done revaluations and assessing work. And traditionally, absolutely, traditionally, you wait a chunky years between revaluations. And when you bring everything up to current market, you get different types of properties with different shifts. You know, you may have waterfront that may go down 40% over the older stuff and an off-water maybe 30. So you would get traditionally, you would get a shift onto the more valuable, the more healable property. We see that. But in the last 3 years with this real estate craziness, I've seen the percentage-wise appreciation across the board, waterfront, non-waterfront, and just like you mentioned earlier, we're seeing people coming to Maine, coming to this part of the Maine, and unprecedented numbers, and they are coming in, they're buying the off-water property. The percentage of those are about the same. The revaluations that I've performed in the last couple of years, I did not see a gap between increase in waterfront, increase in off-water. I have no crystal ball to make any assumptions of what that does for burden, but my responsibility is notifying the town that there's a deficiency coming, the way to correct it, and we are to assess that just value, which is synonymous with market value, and somebody's ability to pay doesn't enter into my thought process. It's actually, by statute cannot. If we have one or two people that come in and have all the money in the world and buy a piece of property for way more than anybody would expect it to be, we study that sale. But if we had 10 pieces of property on the lake that we study, and 8 of them are leading us to this conclusion, this waterfront value, and 2 are leading it to something drastically different than that, we're gonna go with the 8 sales that are giving us a very reasonable number. The outliers, we analyze them, we study them, we make a decision on them. And we can chalk it up to somebody came in, was not aware of the market and didn't really care what they paid, but those become self-evident when you look at a sales study in this town of a couple of their properties.
The other thing I was gonna ask, and I'm gonna say, if we do a reval and our value is way up here, which it will no doubt be, because we are a high value town, we are going to get less money from the state anyways.
That's not true.
If you're high value,
It's not true.
it's not.
It is not, because when you look at every year, the state puts a valuation on town. We've all seen it, when we
Right.
talk about our state valuation, but those are equalized on an annual basis. Because every town is at a different assessment ratio, so their version of fairness is they'll take it starts with our local numbers, and it starts with our ratio. So the short way of explaining it is, would be if we had a local valuation of $450 million, and that's at 74% of market,
Mhm.
they'll take our local number and inflate it up from 74 to 100.
Right,
That's
that's
their
what
value.
that's.
But you could take a town like Litchfield, for example. We did a recovery a few years ago. They're 90% of market. So they're gonna take their local numbers and move them up just 10% because their local numbers are higher than what we have here because it's a more recent revale. And on the other side, you can have cases where a town is overvalued. And we can see that the sales ratio is saying that the town is, the assessments are at 110% of market value. They will actually lower those numbers. So they try to make it as equal as possible. So there's nothing, and the reason I was so quick to answer that, there is so many times towns think that they can do something to manipulate that number. There's nothing we can do at a local level to change the way the state puts their number on the town. That's just, the way their version of fairness works.
Yeah, but for purposes of revenue sharing and school funding, valuation plays a piece of that.
State valuation is what it goes on. It goes on state valuation, there's a small, I mean, the formulas is large, but the bulk is in valuation. There's local student population, and there's also a median income, and the we can control all that. But getting the valuation part, it is honestly, it's always on state valuation, because towns have tried. They purposely undervalued, years ago in Wisconsin, when the nuclear plant was still there. They systematically valued everything at a much lower rate to try to offset things. In the state, every year we come in to try to equalize it. It's not a perfect situation, but they do that. So there's really nothing that we would do. If this real estate is a bubble and it changes right after the reval, one of the other things that we're doing is getting everything computerized with one system. We have two systems right now. And if the time comes, we're overvalued, we can lower that value instantly, just without any cost at all. If we see all the sales coming in, we're running at 10% over market value, we can lower those values immediately. One comment earlier about bringing everything to 70% of market value, like the other councilman mentioned. Right now, like Anthony said, we have assessments that are all different ratios to get a market value. So you said we want to set a level where we're all at 70% market value. You need to discover what 100% of market value is, bring everybody up to that level, and then relax them back to 70. So it doesn't really do any good. It's the individual changes you get from your individual assessment and how much it rises over the standard when you do a reval.
So does anyone else have questions about the reval?
Yeah. The person sitting.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let's defer to the
Well,
citizens.
Jamie has one.
I understand that, but the council's going to defer to the citizens.
Well, he's still answering questions, so that doesn't.
Well, if he has a question,
If
Yes.
Jamie has a question of,
The
do you have a
assessor.
question, sir? Or do you wish to make a statement?
I wish to make a statement.
Okay, then
so-
please wait for Mr. Steele.
And me,
And wait for you too.
yeah,
So just listening and following along here. In the last statement you just made, if we are over, we're at 110%. You have the ability to adjust it.
Correct.
Without doing a reeval, you're just gonna adjust it.
Correct.
So we're sitting at 74% right now, we're under, obviously, we're getting closer to that 70% number. We can't just adjust it 10% that way without having to spend the money to do the reeval.
No, well, I don't recommend it.
Well, it's just a question.
Right,
No,
no,
whether you recommend it or not, it can be done.
not in this case, because we're talking about valuations based on 2007 market conditions.
Understood.
And so we're talking all of those years of market influences on all these different types of property, which can affect them more greatly than when we had the crash in 08, 09.
I can see that.
So it is just, you brought everything to a very recent 100% market value. And if you see a case where all values are starting to slip at the same percentage, yes, you can lower them.
So with that, and I know nobody can predict the market, obviously, and it's crazy right now.
Yeah.
To everybody's point, everybody's moving here and spending whatever they want, just to come here and spend X dollars. The interest rate keeps rising. I have family members are trying to find a house that are of age and they're looking to get a home and they just can't. Because the houses are cost way too much, and the interest rates keep climbing. So at some point, is it gonna reach that and then crash again? So, I mean, that's historically, that's what we're gonna see. So we're trying to be smart about how we spend our money, our taxpayers' dollars. And do a reeval, or can we look at just say, no, right, let's make it 84%. And everybody 10% on their valuation, but that was just, when I'm listening to you talk, I just wanted
And
to.
by the sounds.
Thank you,
of it,
James.
it's gonna be a few years before it becomes, the new numbers actually become implemented. She'll have another 2 years of watching what the market does.
Yeah,
but
Right.
so don't you
So-
think in the interest of that we should wait and see what it does?
Excuse me,
no.
Elizabeth was up.
One of the benefits to getting the revaluation done now is that we have a mechanism in place so that the elderly and senior citizens can have their tax rate frozen right now. So freeze your tax rate before the revaluation. And then you don't have to pay anything more than what the current tax rate is, and the state's supposed to reimburse us for that. They haven't put the mechanism in place for that, they said that they will.
Can I just respond to that? They're currently considering a bill in the legislature that is going to repeal the property tax stabilization program, and it's going to put more money into the property tax fairness credit and a deferral program. So that's coming out of committee with an ought to pass as amended,
So contact your local representatives.
and that's gonna make it to the floor of the house, so.
Contact your local representatives.
No, I think it's actually a better program, because when people get under the property tax stabilization program is peanuts compared to what they could potentially get under if they beef up like they're talking about, the property tax fairness credit and the deferral program.
Which is another reason why we should have an evaluation now.
All right, does anyone else on the council have any more questions for Rob? Is Rob pretty well wrapped up, or anybody behind me?
Oh, this personal agenda.
No.
Well, I guess the one question I had, he didn't answer, because I didn't let him answer. Wouldn't you, don't you think we should
I don't think
wait,
so.
see what this market does?
I've been saying that for 3 years. I have.
Yeah.
With the idea of getting the ball rolling now does not make any sort of revaluation happen until tax year April 1st.
Yeah, we're already behind.
April 27th. So it's a process. Just knowing the workforce that would be doing something like this, it's gonna be there a few years out at least. So the idea, and it's a fairly significant bill, and it's gonna be, so the idea is start thinking about the process now. When we get to a point when we're getting at or below that failing standard, the state comes in and asks, what is our plan? We can say, we've got a revaluation coming, it's an RFP, we've got a revaluation that's under contract, we're just waiting for the work to start. So it kind of takes care of both, and then it's all, if the market changes and for whatever reason you don't have to do it, you can just cancel it. But the idea is, it's a lot of money to think about, and something that has to be set aside over a couple of commitments, in my opinion.
So Rob, am I mistaken, do the state values, don't they lag the market by 2 years?
A year and a half, that's
Yeah.
right, that's right. So 2023 state valuation, the ratio that we're talking about was second half of 2021, first half of 22 sale indicators. That came up with this ratio.
So with what we're seeing in the market now, we can anticipate that at least the state values are gonna go up the next 2 years because the market continues to climb.
Right, that's correct.
So, may I discuss the decision, or may I suggest that, the town council is thinking about going to 2 meetings a month, one being a workshop session. It's not 100% decided yet, but, we are on some time constraints tonight. And I would like to end the, discussion with Rob and move on to 10, if that works for Rob.
That's fine.
Okay, I know, we have one person who's taken the time to come up and have a few comments to make, and he'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, and then I see right, then we have one more person behind this gentleman, and that will be it.
So as David Costa, I live on Memorial Drive, I have lakefront property. And I hear the discussion and I mean, I see what's going on with the market. I mean, I see houses up and down the street selling for crazy numbers. Numbers that I can't imagine why people are paying them, to be honest. But I do want to tell you, you know, I got a little ranch. I got a 900 square foot ranch on a half an acre of land, and I'm paying over $7 grand. And my neighbor across the street with the same size house and the same piece of property pays half what I pay. So, you know, the last time they did reevaluation, I bought my house a year and a half before it. And after reevaluation, my taxes doubled. All right, and I've been paying and paying and paying since. So if you tell me the plan is to go out and jack all the valuations on the waterfront, if you do the same thing that you did the last time and mine doubled, I can't pay $14,000 in taxes. I can't do it. I plan on staying here. I know, you mentioned that, oh, these people getting these high numbers, so they're all bailing. I don't wanna bail.
Exactly.
Excuse me, please address your comments to the chair and don't make it personal.
Oh, well, I'm not making it personal. It's not personal. She made the statement. I'm just addressing the statement. That's all.
Yeah, he said-
I'm not mad at her. I'm just trying to let you know the perspective. My plan is to die in that house and give it to my grandkids. All right? I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to get priced out of this, but you may very well do it. If this happens, so please take that into consideration for those people that would like to stay in this town. I've been here 16 years now, and I plan on staying. I don't want to go anywhere. So just try to keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Apologies, I was watching this on Zoom and I missed probably 5 minutes, but I rushed over here because I had a suggestion I went into in another town where I used to live, where they limited the amount of tax that they increased year over year to 10%. So they wouldn't inflict, I've also been someplace where they doubled taxes year to year, and that was crushing for people. So I just wanted to make the suggestion that maybe you should limit how much you increase the taxes on somebody from one year to the next. To some limited percent, like say 10%. So you don't crush the people who have been living here for a long time. That's it.
So I have a question. I'm just curious about that because I haven't heard that before. So was that 10% applied community wide or was it on an
It was
individual basis?
statewide with marijuana,
Okay,
and they just made a law that they would not increase property taxes from one year to the next.
Even our constitution, I think, requires that properties be assessed at equal value, I believe. And so that's the problem, is the Maryland Constitution is probably a little bit different.
Yeah.
They
And this is
put,
not the assessment value, this is how much you charge in tax.
yeah, I don't know.
So that was my rapid suggestion. I did not want, all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just have one wrap-up comment. That is my whole point, was when I talked about this reval, there are people in town that don't want to move. And when we reval and those prices double, you are gonna price people right out of the market. And your community is, that's it. So I'm just
Thank you.
FYI.
Okay, I want to thank Rob for his presentation today.
I just want to reiterate something.
What's that?
I just want to reiterate one thing that Rob and said.
Under it.
I know, but when the prices go up, as Rob was saying, oftentimes the mill rate can come down because our valuations have gone up. So that's another thing to take into consideration.
Okay, thank you very much, Rob. I'm gonna,
I have one
Thank you, Rob.
comment. I happen to agree with Mr. Costa and Councilor Caprera in the fact that there's a lot of residents that have lakefront property that we're gonna price right out of the market.
I agree.
You know, facing the reality of a $14,000 tax bill is daunting to somebody that's on a fixed income.
For a
Okay.
900 square foot house,
Right.
or
I mean,
whatever
so-
you got, I mean.
I mean, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, and, you know, you can sit here and say, hey, you know, chances are that it is, but, you know, chances are that it's gonna increase your taxes.
I think a lot of us have experienced
I did in
that, the last
2007.
eval,
Right,
okay,
it was a
and
mess.
business on the
It
way,
was a damn mess.
and they
Right.
reeval, and you know, it went sky high, and they said, well, the mill rate's gonna go down, it never did. I think most of us can look at the mistakes in the past, okay, and we can decide, okay, that we're gonna be more careful this time,
Mhm.
okay? And with that, I really would like to thank Rob again
Right along.
and move on. I'm gonna,
so we do have one person online who just raised their hand.
Oh, okay.
okay, let's get that.
Hey, this is Tim Adams. I just wanted to kind of throw a counterpoint out there. I've heard a lot of talk about, you know, people don't want to get priced out of things and whatnot. I also think there's probably a pretty decent amount of folks in the community that don't want to see their family members move away. And if anybody's looked at building recently or even trying to acquire any property, throughout the whole state, those prices have gone up, and not even just the state of Maine, like that's across the country right now. It's been pretty crazy for the last 3 years, and everybody already knows that. But I do think that while nobody wants their taxes to go up, everybody that's trying to go out on their own and start families and buy these houses is buying at a time where they are going to end up paying $400,000 or $500,000 for 2 bedrooms and 2 baths, and they're going to pay way more than somebody that's had lakefront property for a while. I think it's a very real situation, and I think a lot of the folks are interested in trying to keep family members nearby and not have to drive to go see them hours and hours away in the middle of nowhere. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. All right, I'm gonna slip out of etiquette a little bit. Mr. Fortin from the library has the 7:45 cutoff. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's take.
so do we want to take a look at the library budget? So,
Ahead to that.
yeah, we're gonna skip right ahead. I thought there had been some comments made about possibly replacing a little bit of the money we,
Right,
and I certainly have received a ton of email to that effect.
yeah. Gotta find it.
Section 14.
No, I can't find it in the agenda.
Oh, the agenda. Well, it's under the municipal budget part of the agenda, item 9, right?
I'm really sorry to throw everybody off, but I know Richard has to go, so.
Page 8. 17. Oh, yeah.
Talked about it specifically. Does somebody want to talk about it specifically?
Yeah, I was gonna ask Richard if he had an idea. What the most important thing in each packet and what will help out.
Yeah, I'm not, I mean, I guess Anthony told me that you had emailed from some folks. I mean, obviously it's up to you guys. We did the procedure that you asked us to do. I certainly let you guys know when we did it, there's gonna be some gain involved in that.
Right.
In terms of buying less books or having less programs. I would say what you're comfortable with, obviously, is up to you guys, and we would make good use of the funds and put them back. You know, I'm not like trying to demand that, but I know that you guys heard from some residents that were concerned with some of the cutbacks that you made, so.
Yeah, every number bandied about.
I have the number,
Okay, Elizabeth has the number, imagine that.
a rough number, you know, like I never have numbers. So roughly, I would like to see. In the second round of cuts, that the gas department has to make, and with regards to the groundswell of support that has come forward for the library and all of its programs for the children, as well as the adults. I would like to see the second round cuts, which were approximately, I believe, $6,000, is that correct, Richard?
Yeah,
I would like to see that put back into their budget, because that was an unnecessary cut. I don't think that ever should have been made in that second round of cuts. Because it eliminates programs, it eliminates purchasing of new books, it eliminates all sorts of things from the library that I would like to see reinstated.
You wish to make a motion?
We have to make a motion on that?
I think so.
I wish to make a motion to put $6,000 back in the library budget from the second round of cuts, just take it out.
You see, 5 or 6,
6.
okay. Any
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor? Okay,
Somebody know
what
the
do we
people in
got?
the audience.
Got 1, 2, only 3 of us?
It doesn't really affect the budget a whole lot at all.
Serious?
For the $6,000, and it helps children, it helps the people in the community, it helps people looking for work at the library. Discussion,
I'll ask a question.
sure.
So, pertaining to those cuts, is that cuts, I saw that it was to primarily adult books, audiobooks, some DVD, like movies. Now, is that something that's available through the app, or how do you make those purchases?
yeah, the two are not really connected as much as you think. We still circulate about 4,000 physical items a month, and that's never been impacted by
Oh,
the
Hey,
number of
Richard.
digital items that we
Richard, will you
circulate.
come to the mic, please?
Yeah. So, you know, like I said, we did the procedure like everyone else did. We tried to be responsible with this and came back to you guys. It means our new book displays will be less, it means we'll do less programs. The numbers that you're looking at there in front of you, it shows reductions from last year, but it doesn't show what we changed from our original request. So if you look at like the programs, for example, the cost of running the same programs that we ran last year, just like the cost of everything has gone up significantly. So you can see the amount that we've spent year to date to do the same program is significantly higher. And we're going to be making cuts, so next year's summer reading program will be significantly smaller than it was than it's going to be this year. If we get some of that money back, we would have an equally robust summer reading program as we had last year and the one that we have planned for this year. And if we don't, we won't. So I'm not somebody that likes to come up and say the world's gonna end or the sky's gonna fall, you know, or kids won't be served, but it won't be as robust for sure. There'll be less for us to offer.
Well, and I'll have to tell you, in all honesty, when the library expansion many years ago was on the books, we were trying to get that done. A best friend of mine, actually, Judy Stebbins, was one of the major,
Yeah,
you know,
she was the
fundraisers, and I opposed it. Okay, I did not like the idea, and I have been resold. Okay, the library is a important, dynamic community center. A lot of that is thanks to Richard's hard work and his staff, and of course, the new facilities. And I just don't see where that $6,000 is gonna amount to hill beans in our budget. I just think it's important. Go for it.
I received 2 communications from constituents, Penny Markley and Susan Gross. Very long emails. I'll be happy to share them with council if they prefer, or read them in the public forum here. But I think you all received them as well about the valuable resources that the library does provide. And the amount of money that we're asking to take back or give back is really minuscule by the services that are rendered. So there are constituents out there that are very, very much opposed to any cuts in the library budget. For the record.
So do we want to try that again? I'm not sure what the law is about repeating.
Could we do a portion, like half,
What would you suggest?
maybe half or
3/4?
3/4?
If everybody agrees, that gets it done.
I understand it's important. I think everything's important. Every department we have in town is important. Every service we offer is important. I think it's fair enough that, you know, Richard did a great job and found a way, and I still see it's an increase, still, you know, it wasn't like it's a minus. They're still getting extra money this year for what they need. Each department did that. And that's what I look at, is each department took the time and did that. So do we unwind everything that we asked them to do, all that time and energy to come up with something that they could work around? I thought, again, the other night, I thought the budget was solid. I thought we left here, when I left here, I thought the budget was good. And we were moving forward with it. So that's all I really had to say on that. I mean, I have nothing against it. I've talked to Richard. There's big benefits in having the library. And him and I have, you know, some ideas that could probably move forward in the next few years to make something better for it and increase its value to it. But in this time, when we went through this whole process and asked these people to do that, and we had this discussion, and we did it last time, that was the time to probably have brought it forward, and we discussed it. So those are my thoughts.
So,
I'm going to just make one more comment and I'll make a motion again. The difference here is that this is more of a community center where people are drawn to. This is an attractive asset to our community that draws people here to move here, to live here, to buy property. It's not just about the waterfront. People, when they're shopping around for a place to live, they want services. They love all the services that all the other department heads provide. The difference here is that when we ask them to make these cuts to the library, it's cutting programs for children in the summertime when they're the most idle. And personally, I like to see the kids active, involved in something that's educational. And I think that if we go with maybe a 3/4 cut, we could be reliable, we could rely on that, and that'd be better than going with a $6,000 cut. We could make a motion to vote for $4,000 being put back. Would that be 3/4? 4,500? I don't know.
yeah, we're
I don't have a calculator in front of me, so, okay, So I make a motion to
So I'd
reinstall.
like to comment on
We're in the
Liz's comment.
We're in the middle of a motion, Jim.
Yeah, but she made a comment rebutting mine, so I just
I
wanted
was rebutting it, I was just.
to saying it's important, and I agree, but.
We're in the middle of a motion, please.
I would like to make a motion to return $4,500 to the library budget for purposes of reinstating programs that would otherwise been lost. Second,
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion pertaining to that motion?
Now you can discuss.
I understand you want to have kids be busy and have the summer reading program, and there's many that come to the programs, instead of serving. Are we serving other communities as well? I mean, we're not policing it down there, we're not serving just Winthrop, so taxpayers are shouldering for other communities coming and benefiting from their programs. So I would just caution that, when we have that if we keep it in mind that, there's a lot of kids, and you say there's 200 kids coming, is there 200 the Winter kids, or are there that other kids from the town, I'm sure they're, Winter residents, so that's my thought on that, so.
Okay, ma'am, if you have a quick comment.
Well, we're in motion.
well, discussion. This
Well,
is-
We're in
yeah,
discussion.
amongst us.
We're in discussion.
Amongst
Chair
us.
discretion.
Yes, amongst us.
Amongst us, not from the floor. That has already been passed.
This is hard in this. Got something to say?
I just want to point out, hi, Laura Lynn, I'm a resident library trustee as well, and I just want to point out, because I sat through a whole week of this a few weeks ago, and it was brought up not only among the council, but among members of the community, that I heard. Who is it Winthrop residents? Do children come from other areas? And mostly they are Winthrop, but yes, we do have people come from other areas, and I would like to think that if they're coming from other areas, they're going to, are they just gonna go to the library? Are they going to stop in and spend their dollars from their other communities in Winthrop, in Subway, in Pickles Potions, in why is it so? Why is that a sticking point of that these children or people or patrons of the library aren't from Winthrop? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, that was, you actually made the point I was gonna make it.
Okay, so, the chair will,
So the little,
Say one thing too. So I am a full supporter of the library. It is one of our top assets for the town. I do absolutely agree. However, we did have counselors, like James was saying, tell all of the departments to make cuts. Now, each of those department heads and directors made those cuts, and came back to us with those numbers. And so I would like to sit there and say that as a precedence in the future, for future budgets and things, that once those cuts are presented to us, this is their opportunity for citizens to come then to the meetings and to speak out loud, versus when we are coming to this final resolution, and making these changes. Because I also received those emails, and I do appreciate it from the citizens, and I do agree. I fully support the programs and the books and the programs like that the library has. I brought my son down to Miss Jen's reading story time on Wednesdays, and I walked in on the ukulele group, and I absolutely love the programs that the library has. But just for future, setting that precedent. So I will agree with giving back a portion, and that's something that should have been brought up previously. But as we move forward, I would just like to agree with James and Linda on that.
understood. Okay, so we.
okay, so, we need to take a vote on a motion to give back $4,500 to the library budget. All in favor? Okay, so that's what we'll do.
All opposed.
All opposed? Okay, there we go, for the record.
Thank you, Richard. Now you.
Thank you very much,
Kept you
Richard.
a little bit later than you expected, so I'm sorry about that.
So it was just as a matter of conversation, Chad, that was weird. If you favored revisiting this or would rather have stuck this.
Let's go, Andy.
No, she's talking about the future.
Straight line.
The future for next department heads.
Rather not,
Next budget year, not now.
I know, but I'm just asking you, so you don't want to go over this again.
No.
Okay, got it, it's good enough.
Okay, so now what's next on the agenda?
Okay.
want back to 89?
Too many things.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Appointment of treasurer and tax collector, this is pretty straightforward.
I'll move to approve the appointment of Anthony Wilson as treasurer and tax collector.
Do we have a second? Okay, all in favor? The record will show that all are in favor. Okay, item 90, settlement of current tax balances and recommitment of taxes, the new treasurer. The suggested motion is to move to approve the settlement of the current tax balances and recommit the taxes.
I move to approve the settlement of the current tax balance and recommitment of the taxes to the new treasurer.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor? Record, so all were in favor? Okay, all right, item 91.
So I do have something here that each of you needs to sign, so I'm just gonna sort of pass it around the table.
thank you.
Broke my stride, I was really moving along here. All right, now. So item 91, public hearing proposed municipal and school budgets. Okay, we're gonna open that at 10 minutes to 8. Okay.
7:48.
Okay, 7:48, I'll give you that one. All right, so. Comments, thoughts? Okay, nothing from the board?
Okay.
No, you're opening a public hearing
Right.
to hear public
I-
comment. We're not
You're
discussing.
done, okay.
No, I will say something at the end, but I want to hear from the public. That's how you do it.
Well, I am reading. I haven't seen anyone step up yet. Does anybody have anything to say on the budget now?
Do we have any comments on the budget?
Okay, no comments on the budget. We'll move on.
Municipal and school.
This includes the school budget, so,
8:49, I move to close the discussion.
okay, is there a second?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor? The record show all in favor. Okay. Was it 8:49? 7:49? That was
I
great.
can see that.
Okay, item 92 to consider resolution, FY 23 municipal budget. Okay, expense and revenue. Move to, the suggested motion is to move to approve the resolution 2023-1 FY 24 municipal budget
As amended.
as amended.
I move to approve resolution 2023 for fiscal year 2024 municipal budget
As amended.
as amended.
Okay, are there second,
Second,
all in favor?
No, excuse me, discussion. You gotta move to discussion, Andy.
Does anybody want to discuss?
Yeah, I'd like to discuss it. I'm not voting for the pending motion because I am not okay with a 5% increase. We increased the budget last year over 10%, and now we're back at it. So that's, 15-16% in 2 years. It's huge increase. And I would have liked to have seen this closer to 2%, 3%, given everything that we've done over the last couple of years. So I am voting against it.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, the chair will entertain a motion.
we already had the motion.
You already have one.
We just need to have the vote.
Linda threw me for the. All right, so is there a second?
We already did.
Okay, then the chair will then we'll vote.
Yeah, we need to, vote.
What?
we need to vote, so.
Right, that's what I said.
All in favor?
All in favor? Okay, it's gonna be a
4-2.
4-2. All against with. Okay, it's a 4-2 approval. Now we have to waive the second reading.
I make a motion that we waive the second reading.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay. Let the record show it's all opposed. We're gonna say that out loud, don't we? Okay, all right, yeah, 4-2. Okay, item 93, consider We did those, didn't we? What?
No, we're on the school budget, I'm 93.
I might agree.
Yeah, to consider resolution 2023 FY 24 school budget, public education PK grade 12. Suggested motion move to approve that resolution to 2023-2 FY 24 school budget. PK through 12.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2023-2 FY 24 school budget public education PK through grade 12.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? None, okay, Chair will entertain a vote.
Look, that's all in favor.
What's that?
You have to ask who's in favor.
All are in favor.
It's
Okay,
school budget.
all in favor. We'll go against the school budget.
I move to waive second reading.
Second.
Jim seconded it.
I think it was Jim.
Yeah.
Yes.
Second.
Okay.
Ask for discussion or.
No, we just vote on that for it.
All in favor?
Favor.
Record tell all in favor. Okay, we're gonna go to item number 93. Consider resolution 2023-3 FY 24 school budget annual local funds. Suggested motion to approve resolution 2023-3 FY 24 school budget additional local funds.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2023-3 FY 24 school budget additional local funds.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion?
I didn't see any paperwork on any of this. What am I voting on?
Yeah, what's the move to approve the resolution for the additional local funds? I must have missed that.
I didn't get it.
It's in the packet right there.
Is that, okay, I didn't get it in regular packet, and I was reading online, so I must have missed it.
It's on page, it's no longer, unfortunately. The account that says the town council hereby resolves $7,539,000. That one. Jim, can you tell us, was this presented previously? I'm just trying to refresh my memory. We're getting old.
It's not specifically called out, this is a number that's required by the state. And what it's, the simplest way to say it is we take a look at what we have from state with DPS amount, which is a budgeted number, not a usage number. So we get the number, we say how much the state has to, will provide us how much we have to raise in order to get that match. We look at the additional revenues that we have coming in and the difference between the budgeted amount and the revenues that we can raise is the additional local, how much additional local
Oh, I
taxpayers have.
got it. So that's our contribution from the town.
Addition.
Addition.
If you know what's required.
What's
That's
required.
that's what I-
Okay, gotcha.
We'll say the number of Renisa that we're just working on today is
399.
399. And a year ago, that number was over $1 million. So we're a lot closer to being, ever been my goal to be at the EPS amount. Because there's so much that's exerted since EPS existed, but we are at least $600,000 closer to that right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, it's time for voting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so vote. All in favor? Correct, so all in favor?
I move to waive the second reading of that.
Okay,
One second.
all in favor? The record show all in favor. Okay, item 95.
Yes,
Okay, adult education, resolution 2023-4, FY 24, school budget, adult education. Okay, the chair will entertain a motion. Somebody else can read it.
I make a motion to move to approve the resolution 2023-4 fiscal year 24 school budget adult education.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any, discussion? Okay, all in favor? The record show all in favor. Okay,
I make a motion to waive the second reading on that.
okay,
I'll second.
all in favor? The record show all in favor. Okay. Item 95, consider resolution 23-24 FY 24 school budget adult education.
We just did that.
No, you're at 96.
You're on 96.
96.
We're a long ways down the page. Consider resolution 2023-5 FY 24 school budget. We did that too.
I move to approve the resolution 2023-5 for year 24 school budget, school nutrition.
Second,
All in favor, or is there any discussion?
how many people currently use the adult credit? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know that
Yeah,
number.
I was just curious. All right,
We're on the,
I'm okay with.
we're on the nutrition.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm following.
All in
you
favor?
here. I'm following you.
All in favor?
Andy,
Hmm?
all in favor?
All in favor? Let the record show all in favor.
I make a move,
Yeah,
go ahead.
make a motion to waive the second reading.
Okay? All in favor?
Maybe a second
All right,
first.
second,
Hmm,
I second it.
I got good.
Now we can do it.
Let the record show all in favor.
6-0. And by the way, I don't think you have to read the suggested motion.
No, I stopped.
Yeah, okay. I was
Yeah,
like,
thank you, Elizabeth. I got that.
Item 97.
Okay, no, we're on 97.
yes,
That's correct. To determine the rate of interest that shall apply to overpayment of taxes.
I move to set the rate of interest for overpayment of taxes at 1%.
second,
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? The record show all in favor. Okay, item 98. Determine the rate of interest that shall apply to delinquent taxes for FY 23.
I move to set the interest rate of 8% for delinquent taxes for fiscal year 23.
Second,
second,
okay, any discussion?
I got it. Just a comment, just for our understanding, that's saying it's, you don't pay your taxes on that day, tax date, which is 8%. What was it last year? 4. So we're doubling it,
The state sets it,
the state's setting it.
the state sets it so that it.
That's fine, I just,
So the idea is to prevent people from not paying their taxes because they're getting better interest rate somewhere else.
no, I understand, I just was trying to understand it.
Yeah, the state sets the
Thank you.
maximum. We can cut whatever we want, but that's the maximum that's allowable.
Okay, all in favor? Record show all in favor. Okay, item 99, consideration approving minutes of meetings of May 1st and the 15th. And signed disbursement warrants.
I move to approve the minutes of the meeting held May 1st and May 15th, 2023, and sign disbursement warrants.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Record show all in favor. Okay, item 100, finance reports for the previous month. I think that is great.
I'm sorry. Finance report.
I don't want them,
Where does the- where does-
I don't want them, you put her to sleep.
You've got them. in your
Yeah,
packet.
yeah.
Okay, they're your normal reports. I mean, we're right on target with our revenues and on target with our expenses and,
Good.
Okay, I think we're all happy with that. All right, item 101, consider an operation of recommendations for the appointments committee.
There are no recommendations to approved by council this morning.
All right, thank you. Okay, now, this is something that um, Anthony suggested, and I agree with this 100%. We have several, item 102. What? Yeah, item 102 through.
This one, 102.
Hmm?
102 is.
You want to do speed bump?
That's
I'm
fine.
sorry, I got ahead of myself. Speed bump discussion. I hit a speed bump. All right, let's go.
Virtually,
What?
virtually made a speed bump.
George, you pick on me.
Sorry, just English teacher coming out. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, what do you, is that,
It was my motion that we explore that. Got many emails from people on High Street stating that as they came down the hill, people were speeding. There's people that are visually and hearing impaired and elderly on the street. It presents a hazard. The police have tried through enforcement and the speed gun to quell that, but it seems to no avail. And strong emails from residents along that area and also Greenwood Avenue for the reinstallation or new installation of speed bumps to curtail the speeding coming down the hill or up the street on Greenwood Avenue.
that's all the way on this one. Doing away in on the speed bump issue. I have no opposition. Okay, great.
The lady in the back.
And there's.
We got somebody. Priscilla, Priscilla, you don't have to come up to the podium. It's okay.
That's why it's here.
All right, I did. Oh, thank you very much. Denise.
1,500 for permanent speed bump, 1,500 for.
I just want to say, if we had more sidewalks, our speed bumps might be better. Be needed less, and we do need sidewalks. I think I'm a high-speeded one that does need one. Greenwood, although they were somewhat repaired recently, they need more work in these streets a mess. But speed bumps definitely would help pedestrians who have to walk in the street.
Thank you, Priscilla. At this point, I might interject that Steve and I are working on a list. We both have separate lists at this point of problems in the community, and I'm sure that's on it. And eventually we'll get time to sit around and get those lists combined and ask the council to prioritize. Not Steve, Anthony.
There we go.
Yeah, you can tell when tired. All right, what else do we have to say on speed bumps?
I mean, I want to see them, I want to see them installed.
All right,
So
I think
that's-
as long as there's a lot of like the kind they used to have on Greenwood that are like, they're not encouraging people to jump over them. Whereas like some that are built into the road can encourage seniors.
Well, they were quite
sometimes to jump
expensive. I think the figure that was displayed was $1,500
For the round
temporary
yeah.
ones.
For the-
Temporary one.
For the temporary ones, the ones you pick up in the fall and
Yeah.
put down in the
Those
summer.
are better because then they can plow the streets and you don't have to worry about it.
You can what?
Well, those are better because you don't have to plow, you don't have to worry about plowing.
Absolutely.
with them.
Yeah.
okay, so.
So
Do
we
we,
discussed it, any more discussion?
no more discussion.
All right,
All right, well,
when we get on the permits,
now we're down to permits. Now I can do my thing.
there you go.
Okay, Anthony and I, Anthony's idea basically came up, he said that he had done this in another town and it worked well. To have one motion, okay, to allow or grant all the amusement and sellers licenses. Okay, he's spoken with Paul Ferlin, our police chief, and there's no problem with any of the current applicants. And so the chair would be looking for a motion to grant all of the ones on the list, and that's gonna be item number 1-3
Those-
through, I think, 107.
Do that, 'cause I can't vote on.
No, more than that, 113, I think.
I can't roll all of them, I can't do that.
Yeah, well, look
You
at
have-
the
you have
agenda.
conflict.
107 through 113.
So just state.
Well,
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Well, because we went on our agenda, it's 103.
No. Want to make sure to do it right.
Well, 103 through 113. I don't like it, we either gotta mark it.
And I think it's,
Okay,
You're gonna
I
make.
make a motion that we approve all of the licenses for business in town on item numbers 103 through 113, which is also items 106 through one, whatever it is on the other page. 103, 113 on the agenda.
Okay, all in favor?
Oh, wait a minute, what, getting ahead of us.
yeah.
I know, I'm trying to get
I
done.
probably want to make sure that some of
Any
the,
second,
well, anybody in the audience.
we
wants to
gotta
discuss
have
it.
a second, then we'll have a discussion
We
period.
can have a discussion before that, though. I'm just
Okay,
saying.
so should we have a second?
Linda seconded it.
Okay, is there any discussion? Inclusive of people in the audience?
We're all part of the licenses.
This young lady wants to
I
talk.
would just like to request, I'm Emily Dupree, I have the hot dog stand.
Yeah.
I would just like to request that you include in town in case, so when the vault is open, I can set up down there too. Because on my application, I only put Paris Pharmacy in, because that is currently where I am setting up. And I would like to do the downtown area when they have the vault open. And when there's special events going on, the Chamber of Commerce had asked me before to come down and set up, just to give them another venue.
So do we have to do an amendment?
We have to amend it.
I can't, I think that we should go through each one separately. I mean, it's gonna take us an extra 5 minutes and I know time's of the essence. But in light of full transparency, unless there is public comment,
Well, we can just back this one out
Yeah,
and then we can just do it separately if it's
Yeah.
easier.
yeah, we can do that.
So if you could make a friendly amendment to your motion.
I make an amendment to my motion, not my motion, to go through the licenses one at a time for consideration.
I'll second that.
So the first one is,
Vote.
All in favor?
Yeah, all in favor?
yeah,
Okay, let the record show. Anybody's opposed? Said all in favor?
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't say anything, I've been waiting patiently.
All in favor? Okay, the record show all in favor. Okay, so who's gonna start? Go down through everyone.
Move to approve transient seller license for Brick Oven Bakery.
where are you?
We have to do 103.
Oh, 103,
We haven't done
okay.
103.
See, I'm not the only one that say.
Okay. Consideration of Sully's Tavern Special Amusement Permit. Make a motion.
Second.
Please, I'm sorry.
Any discussion? All in favor? Record show all in favor. Okay, someone else? 104?
I make a motion that we approve the transient seller license for Mylan's Market.
Second,
All in favor? Okay, we'll discuss it later. Okay,
Item 105, I
Yep.
move that we approve the transient seller license for Roaming Eats.
Second.
okay, any discussion? All in favor? The record shows all in favor.
Item 107, I move we approve the transient seller license for Brick Oven Bakery.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? The record, are all in favor? Record show all in favor.
Item 107, I approve the Augusta West Campground Special Amusement Permit.
I'll second.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
I'm gonna recuse myself from the.
Okay,
so 5-1.
No.
0.
all right,
No, it's not again, it's
It's
recused.
ever
Abstain.
refusal?
Abstain.
Abstain.
Abstention?
Recuse myself from the discussion altogether.
Okay,
I move to approve Tavern on the Hill Special Amusement Permit.
Second,
any discussion? All in favor? Record show all in favor. Nine. Rebel Dog, this is, the person that wanted to adjust their location.
I make a motion to approve the transient seller license for Rebel Dogs.
Second.
As amended to include the.
As amended to include the second location,
Second and third location, correct?
Yes.
So you want
second
it,
and third location.
The downtown area.
Downtown area. All right, second,
Second.
Well, I have a question first.
okay,
Are you gonna do just the downtown area? Are you also gonna do out at Antique Farm? Like you did last year?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so there's 4 locations.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so the Harris Farmers downtown by the jewelers. And then downtown by, what was the other location downtown? Sully's? Vault.
Down by.
And then also at the Antique Barn on Route 202.
Yes, because they asked me to go up and set up
Okay,
there.
so then.
I just have to make sure we get it all in there.
Downtown,
Yes, thank
Eastwood
you.
Road.
All right, so we got that all there amended.
I'm lost.
Okay, so selling locations,
Yes.
you good? So we got the Paris Farmers Union, downtown, and then just each went up 202,
Route 202 Antiques.
so that should cover that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I make a motion with the amendments to approve the transient seller license.
Second.
okay, all in favor? Record, so all in favor,
Motion to approve transient seller license for the gourmet potato.
Second.
any discussion? Okay, are all in favor? The record, so all in favor,
move 111, approval of My Sister's Pizza liquor license application renewal.
Second.
okay, any discussion? Are all in favor? The record, so all in favor? Okay, item 112,
Move to approve Ted's Trackside liquor license application renewal.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor? Record shows all in favor,
Move to approve the Main Cider Company LLC liquor license application renewal.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor? The record show all in favor. So I gotta tell you that this signals that Anthony and I are gonna make a good team. We, that idea was supported by both of us and it got shot down.
It happens.
All right, let's move through the other stuff.
Okay, so other business, manager's report is the only thing on the agenda at this time.
Bye, guys. Thanks for coming in.
To you.
You guys are missing the best part. So, today obviously was my first day, and I have to say, I could not be happier about being part of the Winthrop team. And, so some of you know, I had some options, whenever I, chose to select your offer of employment here. And really and truly, the deciding factor was just how outstanding your staff is here. When I met them, I was just blown away by how dynamic they are and by how engaged they are and how passionate they are. And I found the citizenry to be much the same as well. Everyone's been great. It's not just us, it's been great. So I'm just really happy to be here in Winthrop, and I'm really eager to get down to work. And so I emailed you guys some of this so that you could think about it. But just as I look at the landscape and some of the top priorities, given a lot of it is timing, is obviously, you know, there is a push to try to address the mooring issue by November. I know that there's a moratorium in effect
Got 3 minutes.
for quarries and for gravel pits. And so we're gonna need some sort of ordinance on that within 6 months. And in fact, I'm gonna be discussing that with Mark on Wednesday morning. He's gonna give me a briefing on that. We've all talked about the need for a purchasing policy just to make sure that our taxpayers are getting the best deal possible. And then I've heard from a couple of different priorities about updating the council rules, and if that's something the council's interested in, I would like to have two, maybe three of you, sort of work with me on that. So those are sort of the four sort of priorities that have risen up to the top for me right now, and I'm just seeking some feedback if there's anything else that should be added to the list, anything that should be struck from that list.
AB.
So I will tell you, James, before I think you came in, there was some discussion about that, and we do have a proposal. The most affordable proposal would be $250 a month, so you're talking about $3,000 a year. And if the council is comfortable with that, I'd be happy to schedule a demonstration with that outfit. If not,
I'll see, I'll.
I'd like to look
yeah,
at it. I'd like to see
look
what they
at
have
it,
to
yeah.
offer, because what we're using that currently today is just very antiquated.
Yeah.
Property.
Let's put it on. the
it's
next-
2020.
Yes, we can put that on the agenda. next
Put
time.
that on the next workshop.
So, well, let me work with the vendor just to see what
Yeah.
the available is, so they can do a demonstration for us. So I will.
Thank you.
do that. As part of the budget, you did approve an executive assistant position, and so I've been working on the job description with some of my colleagues who have signed off on that. So my plan is to post that tomorrow, and the code enforcement officer, the town clerk, and the library director will all assist me in the interviews. Since this person will be doing some of the, either working with those folks or taking over some of their duties. There was discussion earlier about the possibility of having 2 meetings per month. And I know the charter calls for the council to meet on the first Monday of each month. So that could be our regularly scheduled business meeting. And if you're interested in having a second meeting, then we might have that 2 weeks later, where we really workshop some things. So for instance, the reval discussion tonight would have made a good workshop thing where we sort of work our way through that. So anyway, so what I'm asking you is, first of all, is there interest in having another meeting per month where we can conduct some more business? And
I think during the summer, you're gonna have to weigh it because people may have vacations.
well, that was gonna be my second question, is how quickly would you like that to start?
I think we put it on the books and then we can decide.
Yeah, July is not gonna,
And that might-
July, I'm really gone.
Whether it's available or not.
Well, my thought is, as I mulled this over the past few weeks since the idea came up, you're right, during the summer, it's gonna get more difficult to get full attendance. But if we end up, the workshop is not a voting meeting,
Correct.
okay, so if we end up with 4 people, 5 people, even 3 people. Okay, I know, we can go over some things, there's nothing, maybe a short meeting, but yeah, we're not gonna vote anyway.
Yeah.
So at least we can get together, find out what's on Anthony's mind, find out what each other are thinking.
I would like to have at least 4 people at those workshop meetings, because I hate to workshop something and then it fails.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, I mean, we're gonna shoot for everybody, but if we only get 4, I mean, we have to schedule it and then ask everyone to do the best to attend and take what comes.
So why don't I do this? Why don't I send you guys the dates
That's
that
right.
that fall through
Yep.
sometime, and then you can check that against your calendars, and we can kind of go from there.
Yeah.
So, and what I would obviously like the focus of one of the initial workshops to be, would just be what the council's top 3 to 5 priorities for me are, not just immediately, but sort of say this first 6 months to year for the new town manager. Jim beat me to the punch on the broadcasting and recording of meetings. Tomorrow morning, I'm meeting with the Monmouth Town Manager to begin discussing a memorandum of understanding and sharing a police chief. And so I got some good feedback from Chief Berlin this afternoon on that. And so, that might be something that would be the first draft of that might make a good workshop pipeline. Just a reminder that we're having a candidates forum at 6 p.m. Thursday at the library. And so we have 6 people running for 1 position, which is great, and we have that much engagement in the community. It can also be watched via Zoom, and those links are on our website and on our Facebook page. And then lastly, so speaking of summer meetings, your next regularly scheduled meeting is scheduled for July the 3rd, which is obviously the day before a holiday. And so I wanted to see sort of what the council's appetite was for meeting on that day.
What day
The
is
day
that?
before the 4th of
It's a
July.
Monday, yes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna,
No.
yeah, let's not, let's do it the
I
following.
didn't even schedule a
Following Monday.
concert that weekend, so no.
Or we can do it, well, July's up, yeah.
Should do it following.
Yeah,
So July 10th.
Yeah, July tenth,
I think that's what we did last year.
Okay.
That was my first meeting.
yeah.
That's all I had.
And I really would like to start the workshop. as soon as
Just
we
so
can.
everybody knows, concerts start July 9th. Hope to see all of you there. Norcross Point.
are y'all all set?
Yep, okay, motion to adjourn,
Moved.
second. I'll second. Okay, all in favor? Record show, motion to adjourn, yeah. You can call it
23.
8:20, okay, 8:25.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
See you later.